Welcome all to Easy to Read Deep Thoughts with my. Oh my gosh, I should have asked you ahead of time. How do you pronounce your last name?
Well, the first name is Ciara because a lot of people think it's Sierra, but it's Ciara. Last name is Dacomey.
I should have thought of that ahead of time, but I didn't. Welcome to Easy to Read Deep Thoughts with our special guest, Ciara. Awesome. Listening to intuition. This is I'm gonna finish the introduction here in a moment, but holy cow, what we're talking about now, I consider one of the primary focuses of my life because I just realized it's a thing. Yeah, I just realized I'm a visual thinker and I'm picturing it like a radio. I just realized there's radio stations out there everywhere you look. All I got to do is tune into it. And yeah, like a little kid, I'm learning that this stuff. I'm learning as I go. Really, I'm at the ground level of understanding this, and I'm pumped for this conversation. I'm excited to hear your insights. Alrighty, Jonathan Geyer. My first noteworthy note is I helped implement a health information exchange for the state of Minnesota. We were the most successful site in the country. I was able to speak with 30 some odd thousand veterans. It's a big deal. It's the origin of this story or this show. Second noteworthy note is I coach a boxing class and we just crossed 1,100,000 views last night. It's a big deal. Oh my gosh, Sierra, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, everybody, I'm Ciara Dacomey. And yeah, the quick high level is I had spent most of my career in commercial lending and finance and real estate and investing, mostly helping people get access to capital for their businesses. So mainly businesses and commercial real estate. And I branched off. I opened up kind of a whole new portal inside of coaching and consulting, and have been having a ton of fun with that. So I primarily work with women, but I do take on some men occasionally for coaching. And also I combine equine guided experiences. I have two formerly wild Mustangs that were rounded up from the Bureau of Land Management. So I do some equine work with them as well. So now that summer is hopefully closing up here in the next month or so, I'll be focusing more on the equine guided experiences.
Oh my gosh. Awesome. I would like to say it publicly. So we are in a networking group together, but I forgot about that. And your videos started popping up in my TikTok feed. I was watching your videos independent of this pre-established, I don't want to say relationship or whatever, this pre-established how we know. I forgot that we know each other from this group, and I was watching your stuff just because I find it interesting. It's good. I enjoy watching your videos.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Alrighty. So our episode, listening to intuition. And I asked my guests to pick the topic, the deep topic that we're gonna talk about, and this is the deepest of the deep. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for me to articulate, and I'm positive how you're going to describe this stuff or the functions, the features. I'm a visual thinker, and I think about it mechanically. Yeah, I'm positive you're going to be able to describe what I'm thinking better than I can. Yeah. All right. Well, God, where do we start? Ironically, I'm trying to tune into my intuition now to figure out where we should start talking about intuition.
Yeah.
How do you
down? Go ahead. What's the question?
Well, it wasn't a question. It's maybe it was. Where do you start? Like right now, I'm picturing this like compartmentalized information. How our military kind of blocks up important knowledge, so it's impossible to kind of catch on to what's all going on. You need each individual info block for things to make sense. And intuition, in my experience or in my current understanding, kind of works the same way. Like I just recently got a couple of blocks that connected everything for it to, or connected enough for it to start to make sense, enough that I'm now deliberately making an effort to tune into it. Yeah, not everybody has those blocks. I didn't have those blocks until recently, and I'm curious how do you bring people to the point where what they understand what the goal is? Yeah, yeah. Like there's some fundamental knowledge that's required for any of this to make sense. And I'm 42 years old, and I just got some of these blocks relatively recently, and I'm curious, like, how do you build people up to the contextual information to understand to comprehend what we're talking about here, because it's actually kind of tricky. It sounds simplistic, but yeah, it's not like that for me. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, yeah, you bring up so many great points. So I think it's the opposite, Jonathan, actually, with intuition. I think it's not bringing people up. It's not trying to get them to understand something. It's actually removing all of the things that they've learned that have been piling on top of their own intuitive, innate wisdom and power and knowledge and healing and health and wellness. It's all built in already. And it's almost like the more knowledge and the more facts, and this is hard for very analytical, logical people to wrap their head around, but it's really about like stripping away all of that, because so many times we think we know something because we've read a certain book, or where we have a master's in XYZ, or whatnot, and yet that sometimes can rob us of our intuitive knowing. And I think intuition can commonly be seen as something that was woo-woo back in the day, where you have to be like, you have these psychic powers or psychic abilities in order to be intuitive. But really, that's all a bunch of BS. We're all built in with intuition. We're all built in with the innate knowing and innate wisdom. And so let me back up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with all the knowledge and the whatnot, but from my perspective as a coach, it's helping people actually slow down a little bit in order to listen for that truth that comes out when we're not thinking, when we're not overthinking. Because so many times, we get caught up in, say we're trying to come up with a decision about something, and okay, let's put the pros and cons list and do it very analytically. Nothing wrong with that, but sometimes we're missing what the true essence is of what we need to get out of something, or what the answer is, because we're thinking about it so much that we're not listening to what's deep inside of us. So it's it's kind of a stripping away of a lot of it, like just helping people slow down enough to where they can tune into that inner calling, that inner knowing, that inner peace, whatever it is, inner answer, not be so overthinking about it.
Oh my God. Speaking of intuition, I would like to say we haven't talked about any of this ahead of time, and you just hit like the number one struggle, the number one. I'm picturing Oracle from the Never Ending Story. The number one. You just described where I'm at, because right now, overthinking this or being analytical. I'm a Six Sigma black belt. I'm a statistician. It's just what I do, like connecting dots and whatever. But it gets into nothingness, or it's there's an infinite amount of variables that can be included into each calculation, and so much so that it just turns to mush. The longer it's like I know there's a cognitive bias associated with what I'm talking about. I'm drawing a blank on what that is, but it's not negativity bias. It's like a complexity. Systems of order moving towards disorder. And why I'm trying to tune into my intuition now is I'm learning it's better. It's smarter than I am, or it's smarter than my well thought out, my grandiose plans. My gut feeling is proving to be easier to quantify, or more correct than my analytical thinking. It's super interesting. It's
and it's easier too. I mean, because the overthinking actually causes us more fatigue and exhaustion. And it's interesting because I work with women a lot, and it just having so my background is what I mentioned earlier, but a lot of that came with, it was a very male dominated industry, and I had been mostly type A for a lot of my life, like work really hard. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hard work, but it's like for me, I overworked myself to the point of having a medical challenge years ago, and I've overcome all of that. But a lot of that came with overthinking and overworking, thinking I had to overdo it, and not tuning into my body, not tuning into my intuition, which was guiding me towards a different direction, but I wasn't getting it. I wasn't listening to it. And so many times with my avatar, like the type of person I work with are women who are very similar to that, where it's hard to get them to slow down long enough to see that when they slow down, they can actually be more productive, more efficient, feel better, not be as stressed, and get more things done because they're coming from a space that's guided versus just kind of mechanical and go, 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 go.
The CIA, or this is where I first learned of some of these, speaking functionally, like the function of intuition. I learned some, I learned some of this stuff from their documentation, and the overthinking. I don't remember how you said it, but they refer to it as an analytical overlay, like making something out of nothing. Like the more, yeah, gosh, I wish I could remember how you said it. Yeah, well, like, so you have I'm a visual thinker, so now I'm going back to picturing a radio, knowing there's a signal over there. Well, the analytical overlay is assigning some sort of meaning from your conscious mind on top of this unconscious signal, and that all correlates back to whatever you're thinking. Like, if you ate something bad earlier that day, that would change how your mind overlays this perception on top of this not correlated signal that exists regardless. Or yeah, I'm saying this all confusingly. It's your conscious mind messing with your unconscious capabilities. If that, yeah, actually, I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, I'm positive you're going to say it more. You're going to say it better than what I just said. But you know what I'm talking about? Like, the more I think about something, the more meaning I assign to it. The kicker is, the longer I travel down this rabbit hole, the less value I get from the rabbit hole. Like, it becomes further and further away from whatever I was actually, the longer I think about it, the more complex it gets. The kicker is, it's rarely a good thing. The simplicity is, I believe you just spoke to that, removing some of that, the fluff, the stuff, and just going from the heart, or
Yeah, it is. I mean, the heart, the gut, however you want to refer to it in your body, but it's just that inner knowing that we've all experienced.
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
just, even if you slow down for a moment, and sometimes for me, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to slow down, but it's like all of a sudden I'll get a clear answer about whatever it is I'm working on. Oh, and here's another really good example. Like, if you're thinking about something and you are trying to solve it in your mind, and then, or better yet, better example. So you're trying to remember something, right? And you're thinking about it, like, I want to just remember this thing, and you're thinking. Like, the harder you're thinking, which is kind of what you were just describing, the further away it gets. The second you drop that thinking, usually the answer shows up, pretty immediately. And that's your intuition. But when we're overthinking, we're literally exhausting ourselves, when the answer is just right there. You just need to slow down, chill out, let it come in.
Super interesting. Well, hey, this is deep thoughts. So human perception by default skews towards that dualism of right, wrong, works, doesn't work. It skips over the probabilistic reality of everything kind of is right and everything's kind of wrong, or everything kind of works and everything kind of doesn't work. And this tuning into my intuition is it's that the challenges that come with this probabilistic, like, am I actually hearing the signal or am I tuned into something else? And then how do you actually know? And that's that kind of, that's me tiptoeing around this rabbit hole again. Like, how do you actually know? And then I start overthinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's not clear cut. It's not that favored dualism of, yes, go over here, go left, go right. It's maybe you should go left, maybe you should go right.
Yeah,
how do you mitigate that? Right now, I got nothing. I don't have a good process yet.
Yeah, and I have a really simple one using kinesiology. If you've ever experienced that, kinesiology is like what is muscle testing in your body. But
Oh my gosh! Yes.
Yeah. You've heard of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's those strips, right? Or it's like things they put on your muscle. Or I'm picturing that. I can't say it. Wow.
Yeah, no,
yes.
there's no strips on your body. So I'll just describe a really simple process that you could do. So just to test it out and feel it out. So if you have, do you have like a whiteboard or something? And you don't need
yes,
one,
ma'am.
but if you have, okay, so if you have a whiteboard, if you have a whiteboard and you have a yes or no question that you're trying to ask your intuition, write the question on the board, okay? And then stand in front of the board and take like 5 deep, slow breaths. Just get your body fully relaxed. And then ask the question and see how your body moves. So, generally speaking, if it's a yes, your body's going to start to lean forward towards the whiteboard. If it's a no, generally your body's going to start to move back. It is very subtle, and the key is to relax, because that's when you can allow your body to just chill out. And the reason it's called kinesiology muscle testing is because the answers are in your body. You already know the answer. You're just so busy thinking already that it's hard to get to. So the key is to relax. And then you don't necessarily need the whiteboard either. So just in case anyone is listening here and you don't have a whiteboard, you can just relax and ask the question. But it does, like, just to start, you want to do a really simple yes or no. You could even test it by saying, my name is Ciara, and I'll go forward. If I say my name is Jonathan, I'm going to go backwards. I've done this with, like, say Mickey Mouse, or, just something to test it out. And so play with that for a bit. I usually tell people give it a few days and just ask various yes or no questions, just to see how your body is tuning in. And sometimes the answer is not what you want. Like, I just found this painting that I got that I'm trying to do, like, a declutter of my house. And in my mind, I'm like, gosh, I don't really want to get rid of this painting, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't really need this painting anymore. So I did this exercise and I said, should I take it to Goodwill? And my body just went flying forward, like, yes, get rid of this thing. So yeah, it's fun to do different tests and just to see, because I mean, that is a telltale, honestly, yes or no answer. And then as you deepen this understanding of intuition, you start to feel what a yes feels like in your body, or what a no feels like in your body. You could, on the yes, you could feel like maybe tingly, or you could get like the chills, where it kind of feels like there's an experience that feels good for you. If it's a no, you could get like maybe your neck and your shoulders will tighten up, or your hands will tighten up. Something like your legs, because those are your biggest muscles in your body, those might tighten up. So you can play with this and just test it out and see how it works for you.
Oh my gosh, I was active listening, but I totally had a response prepared. And then what you just said kind of threw that off. To the whiteboard thing, leaning forward and leaning back.
Yeah.
I still picture that as an analytical overlay kind of situation, like me thinking myself into a yes answer, or me thinking myself into a no answer. And then to your second point, Yes and no will feel different.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that before. I will scratch my head on that after this conversation because that takes care of the analytical part. That means my body already knows what's right, and I don't have to think about it. And
Exactly.
that's the best case scenario
Yeah.
for myself. You know?
Well, and honestly, the
Yeah,
key, Jonathan,
yeah,
is
yeah.
to be,
I'm not sure how to.
sorry, we've got like a time delay. The key with
Oh,
the
go ahead,
white,
go ahead.
okay. Yeah, the key with the whiteboard situation is relaxing, because then when you do the 5 deep breaths, your body will start to naturally relax, as will your mind. So I find sometimes if I do it and my body's kind of like swaying, like it doesn't know which way to go, then I'll do some more breathing and then I'll get the answer, because I'm relaxed at that point. And I kind of even tell myself in my mind, like, let it go.
Oh my God, I have a hard time letting go of this statistician kind of ideology because the same question still kind of pops up. Like, how do I know that it's my gut telling me to do that and not my brain telling me what my gut is telling me? You know what I mean? Because it's not a discrete line. Yeah, it's
It,
something I'm working on. Like I'm aware the signal's there, but tuning into it, work in progress.
yeah, it is. Honestly, it's the feeling. It's the feeling you get inside your body. And that's, I mean, just given that your experience with martial arts, I know some of that is very physical, but there's also a spiritual grounding to it, in the practice itself. So it's like tuning into, like, if you're going to go out for a match or whatever, you kind of want to be centered and not thinking. Like, you're probably pretty much in the moment when you're there about to challenge somebody, because you don't want to be thinking. You want to be present. You want to be aware of what you're going to do, what they're going to do, tuning in. So that's probably, honestly, that's your secret right there, is like that you're fully present and in your intuition when you're in the ring.
I said, holy cow, Spot. I'm assuming, have you watched any of our live streams? Because you just quoted me. I was talking about this last night. I tell the boxers, turn your brain off. Don't think it's
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
boxing's a feel, right? Thinking is bad. It's not a good thing. It just slows you down.
100%. Yeah. So you
That's
got
super
this.
interesting. Oh, God, and I never really connected those. Yeah, I never really connected the boxing part to what we're talking about here, but it's pretty obvious now that you say it.
Yeah.
Interesting. How'd you get into it?
Yeah, mostly, I don't know. For me, honestly, Jonathan, I've kind of always had this spiritual knack of like digging in deeper to how things work and how I work in the world and how everything works around me, but more from yeah, just more from like a feeling spiritual. I've done a lot of meditation. I used to practice Buddhism for about 20 years, and so a lot of that is meditating, and unfortunately not all of it is really feeling, but it is definitely calming the mind down. And so just over the past few years, I've just been tapping into more and more of this true essence that we all are connected to, that we are so conditioned to believe that we're not connected to it, and that we forget, because we take on so many different labels in our lives that we forget who we are as not Ciara or Jonathan, but just our true innate wisdom and essence.
Oh my gosh. So I watch I watch your videos. I grew up with horses. So from like birth to, I don't know, 16, 18, feeding the chores or feeding the horses before school was my job. Uh,
Right.
yeah, and there's intuition and knowing what the animals are thinking go together in my mind. And I know there's a label for that. I'm not sure what that is, but by default, you kind of know what they're thinking without talking.
Yeah.
Do you find that true? Are you um yeah, give me a thesaurus. I'm not sure which words to use when describing this, but uh, this tuning into this makes it's a closer connection with animals, right? It's a closer connection with things that it becomes like hyper awareness, hyper the CIA also has intelligence community also has a term for what we're describing here. Do you find what we're talking about now uh positively impacts uh I I want to say the horses are a hobby, but you do the horses as a business. Did you have you noticed it increases communication with horses, communication with the animals, understanding? Like
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And just my quick story about the horses. I went down this path of getting my certification as a TRH practitioner, which stands for the reflective horse. And it is all about listening to them, listening to us, and because they are these giant, amazing, majestic animals that do speak, and they have a tendency to reflect back what it is we have going on. And so when I was doing my certification, I ended up down a path of I started a nonprofit, and we provide sanctuary to formerly wild Mustangs. And so when I got my first horse, Samson, he's he came from Oregon out of a horrific situation. Anyways, long story short, the more I was present with him, the more comfortable he got with me, because these were wild animals that did not have a very good experience with humans. So they didn't know how to trust people. They didn't even really know what people were, for a long time, what humans were. And so, long story short, when I got him to Glendale, where I live, he was telling me like he had this tag around his neck, like that was his Bureau of Land Management number. And he kept telling me, like leaning into me, like, take this thing off me. He'd never really been touched before. So he just kept leaning into it, take this thing off me. And finally I figured out what he was telling me. Because if as long as I'm grounded and connected, the communication is crystal clear. If I'm stressed out and worried and concerned, it's harder for that communication to take place, because they may be trying to tell me something or show me something, and all I see is one particular thing. So yeah, and I've had both experiences because I've trained both of my Mustangs, and so it's been pretty wild. I notice that sometimes if I'm stressed out or worried about something or overthinking, they are like they occur to me as grumpy, but really they're reflecting back to me like, you need to chill out, girl. So it's pretty wild.
Oh my gosh, along those lines, it's dogs. Dogs are a challenge for me. Like maybe they're aware of me or I'm hyper aware of them. But when I'm stressed, having dogs around is a bad idea. Like it's they just they stay on top of me. Like they won't leave me alone. Like it's so much attention that obvious they're picking up on something, but then I'm picking up on them picking up on me. And it kind of makes things worse. But it's really just because they're aware. They're aware, and then I'm simultaneously aware of their awareness. And
Yeah.
it's tricky. I was active listening, this popped into my head. So in the process of me implementing this health information exchange, I sat down and I drank a cup of coffee with a lot of veterans, a lot of messed up people. And I say messed up from PTSD, the stuff that they experienced. And
Yeah.
they told me stuff that they didn't tell their doctors. And they told me stuff they didn't tell anybody. They told me stuff they didn't tell their family. And I wasn't asking them about it. Like, I wasn't poking at anything. It was just like the natural output of our conversation. And I bet you it's what we're talking about now, like me feeling around their minds or feeling around, just picking up on their vibe. And yeah, I never really associated it, but that's yeah, it, yeah, it's probably what we're talking about now because I was talking to people that weren't talking.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. That is your intuition, right? It's like leading the way. Like, do you ever say something and you're like, "Well, I don't even know where that came from. Like, where did that thought or that sentence or that whatever, it just came right out of me." That's your intuition. And it sounds like when we talk about it that it's something external, but it's really not. It's just you. It's just your stripped away version of who you truly are.
How do you keep stripping that away? Is that meditation? I as a super analytical guy, like meditation is my Achilles heel. And I practice it. Like it's 30 seconds of clear thought. I consider a win. Where nothing pops
Yeah.
into my head and there's no distractions, just listening to the wind or listening to my breathing, which is what the masters prescribe. But then I start analyzing my breathing. So it kind of it goes back to the start. Um oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot where I was going. Oh, that's like I'm picturing like a muscle. You just gotta train it, right? Like in what we're talking about now with this meditation portion, that makes tuning into the intuition. I predict that the more I meditate, the better I get at pushing out this noise, this analytical overlay, which will free me up to see more of the signal. Is my assumption, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, and I don't know, honestly, Jonathan. I personally don't ever like prescribe meditation, meaning
Oh,
you should meditate because you'll be, you're better at sorting through your crap, because the reality is your intuition is always there, and when it needs to come forward it does, and when you don't hear it, that's okay, and when you do hear it, that's great. But there's no judgment about it. There's no um better or wrong or worse or any of it. The way I look at it is that if I'm not tuning into my intuition or not being present, and then I notice that I'm not, to me, that's it. Like, that's all there is to do. Like, for example, when you mention you can kind of settle your mind for 30 seconds and then you pop out of it. But you notice that you pop out of it, and the second you notice you pop out of it, you're right in it, you know? Like, you're meaning you're back, like, oh, I just noticed. If you're having a bad day and you're just being a jerk to everybody, but then you all of a sudden notice, oh shoot, I'm being a jerk to everybody. It's done, right? Like, there at that point you're consciously aware that you were being a jerk and you don't need to continue being a jerk. If that's a good example, I don't know, but that's what came to me.
but wouldn't that conscious awareness function like I keep saying analytical overlay, whatever the thoughts? What doesn't that awareness distract? Oh, kind of like my meditation thing. Doesn't thinking take away from the peace or from the purpose of not thinking? Like I end up thinking about my thinking, which is the edge of that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Like being like when I forgot how you just said that if I'm being mean to people or if I'm being an ass, I'm not sure how you said that. But once I become aware of that, then I start thinking about that, and then I fall away from that present moment, and I slip into that analytical abyss of infinite variables and infinite conclusions.
No, I might not be describing it very well. It's I guess what I want to say about meditation is that it's not necessary in order to tap into your intuition. And because your intuition is always there, it's always available for you. I think meditation can definitely help you slow your mind down. And when you when you pop out of meditation or being present, it's the second you notice that you did pop out, then you're right back in, right? Because say here you are, you're meditating, you're 30 seconds in, it's quiet, and all of a sudden a bunch of noise comes in. Oh, I gotta clean the car. Oh, I gotta take the kids to the school. I gotta, and the laundry list starts, right? And then you realize, oh shoot, I popped out of meditation. that presence, you're coming right back into your presence. You're not thinking about the past, you're not worrying about the future, you're right back into the present moment by just noticing that you popped out of it, if that makes sense. So it's not as complicated as it sounds, and it's happening all the time, and you just at some point you start to trust that your intuition is just always guiding you, and sometimes you can hear it better than others.
Yeah. So as aligning with your boxing points earlier, I've been boxing 20 years. I fought all over the country. I've been punched in the face by some of the best boxers in the world. And I learned through that experience to stop thinking like this analytical depths. Listening to my coach, like my coach will see stuff that I don't see because I'm too close to the problem. And that just popped into my head as you were describing that now, like less me thinking and then mm, mm, yeah. Well, whatever, turning off my brain and then doing just what my coach, like that leap of faith to do whatever move they're telling me to do, even though I don't see it, even though I have no opportunity to really consider what they're saying. Just a blind, if they tell me to jump, I jump without that
Yeah.
question. It's super uncomfortable. Like it actually, it took me a while. I can't even say I mastered it. Like it's something I still work on. And I kind of picture this. And I have made some choices this year that I never would have made it at any other point in my entire life. I did it just because my gut was telling me to do it. And
Yeah.
worked out great. But 100%, like my conscious self wouldn't have made that move. Like I did it just because I felt it was a signal.
Yeah.
The noise or
Yeah. And that's exactly it. And that's why I love bringing to the conversation that intuition doesn't have to be a complicated thing. Every single person on the planet will have a story like that where I all of a sudden I just knew that I had to go left and I did, and then I didn't get hit by a car or whatever it is, right? We have we have countless stories that point us to, we already know the intuition is right there with us, and it's so simple. It's so incredibly simple. We make it super complicated, but it's not.
the veterans I spoke with, I heard a countless amount of war stories that worked out just like you were describing. Go left instead of going right, and then the left spot blows up, or like talk,
Yeah.
making up numbers here, but I want to say 80% of the veterans I talked to when we got on this side of the conversation had a story relating to this, and that's as a super analytical, statistical kind of mindset. That's where my openness to this unquantifiable kind of variables comes to mix because I heard a lot of people I trust tell me this is how it works. Oh, hey, just like a coach. Like I trust that they see something I don't. Now,
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And if you ever get confused by it, just think of that analogy with your boxing, because that's exactly it, right? You're trusting that that answer is going to come, just like, and get out of your thinking head, like just let it flow.
Oh my gosh, awesome. We're like 8 minutes over this already. Um, Something I asked every guest, I kind of ambush them with this. A closing thought. What would you like our audience tonight after watching this, as they're sitting at home, scratching their head and staring at the wall? What would you have them think about? A closing thought to this awesome, deep conversation.
I would love to leave the guest with the thought that there is nothing to fix, that you are not broken, that you have everything you need right now, and you are perfect just the way that you are.
Oh my god, that was awesome! Holy cow, this was a great conversation. Um, yeah, super cool, super cool. I consider this the next frontier in my lifelong learning. Like this this is like the foundation to everything, right? Like everything is or this is how I picture it, but everything is less than this. This it's the biggest deal possible in my mind, right? Because it's everything. It applies to everything.
Everything. Yeah, completely.
Which direction do we sail? Yeah. Oh, what a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much.
Oh, hey, before we close it, plug your service. What link should I include in the comments for this? What would you like how can our audience get in touch with you? How can they follow up with you?
Yeah, my website is trueleverage.net. So TrueLeverage.net. Trueleverage.net. That's the best way.
Awesome. Well, we'll put that in the comments for everybody to easily click on. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.